I've been leading teams for years, and I still walk into rooms where I don't feel ready. And if you got promoted and somewhere in the back of your head, you're waiting for someone to figure out you don't actually know what you're doing, I want to talk to you today. Because confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a choice you make.
Welcome to the Beyond Just Leadership podcast, where it starts from within, and you learn to lead deeper, lead people, and lead well. Here's your host, Stephen Alfin.
So where does this actually come from? I think this is an important piece because one of the biggest things in building this and doing a whole bunch of research, there's a couple of things in my research that I found. And this is actually a fascinating one, completely fascinating. 85% of new managers receive no formal training. This was a Korn Ferry research study, which is absolutely fascinating. If you think about that specifically, 85% of new managers don't receive any formal training. So when you think of, I think this all the time, why do people get promoted? Because I can relate to this. I was actually promoted because of the work that I did. It really wasn't because of how I managed people. And so when you think of that, most people get promoted that way. They do, and then they get a team and they start leading, and then everybody acts surprised when they fail or it breaks, which is completely fascinating. Which is why I always go back to the title changes, the person doesn't. So one other crazy stat that in my research was that 70% of team variance, 70% of the variance in team engagement traces back to the manager. This was a Gallup poll of some research I did, which is also fascinating because you think of good teams, bad teams, 70% of those variances traces back to that one person, which is the manager. So when you think of what it actually takes to lead and what it takes to manage, it's sometimes we take it too lightly, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. And so it's one of those things that I think about constantly of how do I help people get to that point, because it's so important. So here's the part I've never actually explained, which I'm actually really excited that I get to explain this. So beyond just leadership, why did I pick that name? Beyond just, when you think about it, a lot of times when you think of company names, just is like a negative thing. Well, it's just that or just this. But let me take this company that I'm building right now, beyond just leadership. Well, it isn't just about the leadership. You have to go beyond it. And so when you think of that, it's beyond just the numbers. It's beyond just managing people. And so it's beyond just leadership. So you can kind of relate that to anything in life, that it isn't leadership. You have to go beyond. Which then kind of leads me into why I chose the logo that I did as well for this company, which is, and really for the brand Beyond Just, it's a compass which it points north, and then the compass is actually open at the top. So it's going beyond just the compass, which is actually kind of something that I've talked to my wife about when I started building this. Do I come out and really own what I'm going to talk about as it relates to the beyond part, which is really my faith? A lot of individuals, when they start companies or they do things, they want to suppress what their North Star is. Sometimes they talk about, hey, our North Star is this person. Like I remember at Zillow, it was, hey, our North Star is Susan. I think it was an actual person they personified. But my North Star is my faith, and always has been. One of the biggest things that I always say to people is you love God and you love people. And so I'm not going to shy away from it. It's something that I'm not going to kind of brush over. Because when you look at the principle of faith as well, God always taught that whenever you have a love of people and you see people the way God sees them, your whole perspective changes. And so when I talk about leadership and helping people see that, I'm trying to get them to see people for who they truly are, which is people, human beings, which is my North Star is my faith and going beyond, but it's people and helping them really feel that love that they should be feeling. So really leadership starts the moment you stop seeing a person as a number. That's the biggest thing. Or you stop seeing them as just their title or, hey, just a person inside this company. No, it's more than that. It's who they actually are as a person and seeing them for who they are. Because that's truly leadership. That's what it is. When you start treating people as humans, as actual people, you are actually leading. And that's the biggest important part. So to kind of shift now, so beyond just the brand, why I picked the logo that I did. So kind of going back to the other big thing that I've always talked about is PATC. So you heard previously, and I'm not going to go into it, but last episode I told you about my dad and the free throw line and kind of here's what I unpacked from that. So you have positive, which is the P. Positive is a choice. It's not a feeling. You have attitude. And the one thing nobody can take from you is that when you walk into a door, you say the word and the team reads it before you even open your mouth. So your attitude really speaks volumes more than anything else, and that's so valuable. The other thing is a thought. So you don't rise to the shot, you rise to what you rehearsed. It's one of those things that in your mind, if you're going to say constantly, in basketball, I'll relate to this, but you're going to make every shot. Or if you miss, you kind of forget about it, you keep shooting. The best shooters forget their misses and you just keep shooting. It's a thought process. It's you always thinking of the next thing of like, I got this, and kind of forgetting about the negative. Yeah, you learn from it, but you got to always have that mentality in your thoughts. You got to control them. And then confidence. Confidence is a choice. You move forward anyway. So it's like confidence is never just going to show up. So it's one of those things that the Beyond Just brand, the logo that I picked, one of the biggest things that for me, it was a confidence thing of, hey, individuals kept saying, Steven, speak up. And I know I talked about that a little bit, but realizing what I had figured out or created, I'm like, hey, this is something I got to speak to everybody about. So whenever I get on camera or do a podcast or do any of this, sometimes I wonder to myself too, it's like I have to rehearse to myself PATC, but confidence, sometimes I think back to myself, is this going to really work? But that's just the doubt and the fear creeping in, which kind of destroys all of us. And so instead, if you replace it with confidence of, yeah, I know this works. I have all the things that show that it works just from my own personal experience, but also teaching other people and seeing theirs, it just grows my confidence even more. And so it's a choice. It's like, hey, I'm choosing today to be confident. I'm choosing today to do these things, which is PATC. I choose every day to say it. I choose every day before I speak to you all. I choose it every day before I do anything in my life. In my current job with Homeward, it's the same thing. I show up every day, PATC, into every meeting. Because the big thing is it starts from within. You can't hand a team something you never gave yourself. So it's one of those things that if you don't have these things and you walk into a room, that's why it really does start from within. It starts with who you are. Are you confident in who you are as a person? So why build a whole company around this? And I kind of hinted at this. It's because I love people. That's why I do what I do. That's the biggest thing is like when you think of any person getting promoted and then they walk into a room. So on a Friday they get promoted. They walk into a room on a Monday. Nobody trained them. Nobody has, I go back to that stat, 85% of new managers have received no formal training. That is massive. And so then there's a person that they have across the table from them, and they're having a one-on-one for the first time in that first week. Do they even know what to say? Yeah, they've learned from the leaders behind them, but the leaders behind them also haven't received formal training. And so you can see what happens over and over and over again. And you get into some of these companies, and I've spoken to many individuals across many different industries, and it's the same conversation. It's either it's toxic, they don't really know me, they're not really wanting to get to know me. And so it's fascinating that there's this big gap. And so that's why these trainings exist, because of that. That's why Around the Table exists, because I want to free managers, to allow them to actually be with their people and see people for who they are, rather than all the busy paperwork behind it. And so I think that's the biggest thing is, one of the biggest things that I keep hearing about that's taking over across all industries is AI. And so while building this company, building the app that I did, that this was actually a question that came up in my mind of, okay, how do I incorporate AI? But at the same time, I'm teaching people to be more human. So there's a little bit of a butting heads, I guess you could say, with the two, which is why, like me speaking on this camera, like I would rather speak to people, or on this podcast, I would rather speak to people with my face rather than have AI do it. It's because it's the human nature of it. And so one of the things that I built with the app that I created in this company is, yeah, AI is there, but it only helps people free their time. It's not going to ever take away. So like a one-on-one, I actually did research around this. A lot of people utilize AI tools in meetings. They record them, they do those things. Well, in a one-on-one, there was actually a lot of this research that was done that individuals found that they weren't actually opening up in their one-on-ones because they were being listened to. It wasn't as intimate, like just having a one-on-one conversation. So that's one thing that I put down is I will never do in my company is if it goes against who I am, I will never do it. So AI will never be listening in a one-on-one with my app that I created. It's up to the manager to be intently listening. Yes, at the very end, they can do a brief note and AI will help dictate it. But it's one of those things that it will never be listening because you have to create a table and experience that's completely sacred. It's for two individuals coming together, speaking and looking at each other as human beings and treating each other that way. I wasn't going to go into this, but last week was a hard week. The reason why it was a hard week is some of our best friends had a fire in their home. And again, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it goes perfectly into this, is individuals come to work with all of that. You don't know if they had a fire in their home. No one would have known unless you were their neighbor or they opened up about it. And that's the thing that you realize in leadership as you're having a one-on-one or somebody maybe is struggling at work. We're not actually looking at people for who they are and what they bring. Sometimes individuals go through fire. Some go through issues with having children, or some have issues with their parents or with their kids. It could be all of the above, and they have to bring all that to work, either in a remote environment or an office. And so oftentimes we immediately say you're struggling at your job because of X, Y, and Z. We assume, instead of in that one-on-one building that trust, which is why I go back to why I don't let AI listen. You want to create an environment where individuals are vulnerable and open up about those things. That's the big thing of why I'm teaching people about how to treat human beings and how to treat people. When you actually look at it, it's extremely simple. Extremely simple. It's not hard. So here's what's interesting. I think I told you a little bit about me. But yes, I have 6 kids, and 6 kids will teach you more about leadership than any book. And it has. Each one of my kids is different. And each kid needs something different. Each kid's motivated by something different. But what it's also taught me is, you know what? I have to treat each one as an individual and as a human being. They all go through different struggles. My oldest daughter is super excited. She's going into high school this year, and she's so excited, but yet there's so much that me as a father I'm nervous about. But again, a lot of the things that I teach and that I've learned comes from that. It's hey, you know what? She's got to learn how to fail, because she's going to be going out in the real world herself soon, learning what she wants to do when she grows up, and I can't make all those decisions for her. And so it's those types of things that my kids have taught me so much. And then the most important leadership happens at home, long before it ever shows up at work, and that is 100% true. You know, in the home, it's a place where leadership is bred. I want to teach my kids to be the best humans they can, the best people they can, so that they can make a difference in the world and be the best leaders they can, because our world needs a good leadership. Wherever they go, either in healthcare industry or the tech world, or in the financial banks area, you got to remove the toxicity, and you've got to treat people like people. I love people. That's why I do what I do. And it always starts from within. That is the biggest thing, is every day it is a choice. It's a choice to decide what you want to do. Are you going to have a positive attitude? Are you going to think about the things before you do it, and really have that confidence in there? It's like the positive attitude in your thoughts, and then go forward with confidence. It's this mentality, PATC, that it does start from within. And the more you realize that it starts from within, and that it's a choice every day to wake up, or to go into each meeting, or to do anything in life, talk to a new direct report, or talk to a report that you've had for a long time, you know, you can always make a choice today to start something new and do something different, and to treat that person like a human being. But it all too starts with confidence. You got to have confidence that you can do it. And I know you can. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned in my life, that if I always start with PATC, I'm going to be confident, and I'm going to have a positive attitude about it. Yes, am I going to get torn down occasionally? Am I going to get rocked, my world, by something hard that comes up, or by a conversation? 100%. And that's okay. We all are humans. We all make mistakes, and we all have weaknesses. But that's the beauty of life. How do we pick ourselves up from that? And it really starts from within, of knowing who we are, and then moving forward with confidence to do whatever we can. So again, the Beyond Just brand, I'm so excited of what we're building. I've got so many awesome things that I'm working on that I'm so excited about, that I can't wait to share with all of you. And more will be coming in the next couple of weeks, over the next months. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a journey, but I'm glad you're on the ride with me. But remember, it starts from within. PATC. Lead people, and lead them well. That's the important part. Treat everybody as a human being and as a real person. PATC.